Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the New Mutants Classic Volume 3. And today we are going over and finishing up the new, the Demon Bear saga with the New Mutants. So that is issue number 20. There we go. Where are you? Oops, just over here. Nope. There we go. So here's issue number 20. This is the finale for the Demon Bear saga, Badlands. You got a nice Bill Sienkiewicz cover and nice Bill Sienkiewicz art on the interior right here. So we get classic 1980s Chris Claremont Jim Shooter era Marvel beginning. You get Chris Claremont with great third-person narration caption boxes explaining the situation, what has happened in the previous issue, catching the reader up on what's going on, the conflict, Danny Moonstar holding on by a thread, the New Mutants themselves transformed into a very different place than they were before. Originally in a hospital, and now they're in essentially a fantasy America, long before the days of the settlers, before the dark times, before the Empire. Now I'm joking. Franchises. Also, speaking of franchises that are dead. Anyhow, we get into this, and again, as a reminder, this is written by Chris Claremont, art by Bill Sienkiewicz. Let's go through the ones. Lettered by Tom Orzechowski. Colors by Glennis Wine, edited by Ann Nesenti, editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. So we get into the action, and the bear has transported the New Mutants to this fantasy world, and they're still kind of blown away. There's the crystal ball right there is essentially the wards that are protecting Danny, who's on the operating table, from the Demon Bear. And the Demon Bear shows off his magic, stabs Officer Corsi and Nurse Friedlander, and transforms them into ghouls. He also happens to transform them into Native Americans, as you will see at the end of this book. Immediately, Sam jumps into action, the brash one of the group. Though actually, ironically enough, normally that's Bobby, but Sam in this issue is pretty hot-headed. So he attacks the Demon Bear, sends them flying. You got Magik using her magic on the demon Native Americans. And the bear lays the smackdown on Sam on this flail right here. Pretty good. Luckily, he's invincible. He's blasting, as he says all the time. And New Mutants kind of like struggle and with these demons that he's turned the officer and the nurse into. While they're distracted, the bear strikes at the orb and breaks into the operating room to attack Danny. But Magik has just enough strength to kind of stop him and keep Danny safe. You get some nice back and forth here. It's funny. Chris names the two operating doctors as Bill and Ann. I thought that was pretty interesting. So otherwise, the New Mutants are kind of struggling, going back and forth. Mara decides to light one of them up, but Bobby stops him. He says, "Hey, we're heroes, right? It's not our job to just randomly murder people. These people are being possessed. They're not of their own mind." Mara, who's a much more darker and militaristic character compared to Bobby, disagrees. Fortunately for Bobby, he's going to be taken for a ride, sent flying all the way. And so in this fantasy world, you can see this map that's going on. And Bill kind of uses this as sort of a interesting sort of storytelling device. A little bit different than the maps in like Jonathan Hickman's books. Essentially, as he inks more and more the map, that's a representation of how much the land is being taken over by the Demon Bear. So the demon, Officer Corsi, or what was Officer Corsi, sends Bobby flying into the Darklands. And when he's over there, it's just cold and nighttime. And so him being Sunspot, he's losing his energy as he's out there. And he gets ambushed by the nurse turned demon, who basically has him by has him from behind. And if it isn't for rain coming in, Bobby would be in a lot of trouble. So very interesting. So during the sequential storytelling by Bill, he kind of pulls stuff out of like thin air in his sequentials right here. And it's very much like a dream sequence. And thankfully, Claremont's able to kind of explain it rather seamlessly through the caption boxes right here. In fact, these 3 issues right here are sort of a masterclass in how to use third-person narration. Because if you just looked at the raw art for the Demon Bear saga, it would seem kind of all over the place and very random. But Claremont's able to use his writing to basically grab everything and bring it all together into a cohesive story. And it really is a truly great example of the value of narration in comics, and sort of the anti of dialogue. If you take a look at this, there's only 2-3 lines of dialogue, and the rest of it is caption and thought balloons and art. That's it. You can actually tell a story without people talking. Sort of the opposite of modern comics, right? So you have Rain trying to rescue Bobby, and she's about to get bow and arrowed until Amara jumps in, but she gets knocked out by the other demon and stabbed through the chest by the demon bear, and this transforms her into a demon. And luckily for her, Magik has been able to figure out some of the demon bear's strengths and weaknesses. So she summons her Eldritch Blade and cuts his arm off. I actually had to look at these two panels because it's a little confusing when you see it. So in this case, Bill's kind of getting a little too, sensational with his art. But if you take a notice here, you can see the sweep. The arm is getting cut off, and then here's the demon bear grabbing his arm, screaming like, "Ah!" And this is a little confusing here too, because it doesn't show the demon that Amara's become getting stabbed through the chest by Magik very easily. But this is what happens. Essentially, to free Amara, Magik stabs her through the chest, which eliminates the possession. Little does, unfortunately, Sam know that the Eldritch Blade doesn't hurt living things, it only hurts magical things. So he proceeds to deck Magik, and Eliana's kind of pissed off, and just when Sam is about ready to attack again, Amara comes out of nowhere and gives him an ass chewing. Yeah, poor Sam. He's kind of having a hard time in this issue. He does redeem himself in the end, though. So while this is going on, Rain is able to rescue Bobby. The New Mutants kind of regroup, and here Magik's able to see that the realm is being engulfed by darkness right here. And the darkness is what the demon bear draws its power from. So in order to defeat them, they have to somehow act quickly, otherwise they're going to be overwhelmed very quickly. So Ileana goes over to Rain and says, "Hey, you need to go back into Danny's mind, and you've got to go and find out how to defeat the bear." And initially, Rain is very reluctant to do it because in the previous issue, she almost kills Danny by doing that. But they realize that if they don't do something now, the demon bear is going to kill everybody anyway. So she goes back into her mind, begging her friend for forgiveness. And the demon bear attacks the orb and the wards that Magik has created, hurting her because she no longer has the power to stop him from damaging her wards. It's now reflecting back onto her. So the New Mutants come together. Magma's able to kind of ward off some of the demons. Bobby and Sam get into action. It's a really action-packed issue, really fun. And it's an example or a counter to a lot of the arguments against Chris Claremont that, he just liked the softball issues and girls going out shopping and people not doing... No. If you read all of Chris Claremont's run, there's a ton of action and drama. And this issue is one of the better ones, especially for the New Mutants. So Rain has figured out the weakness of the demon bear, but she gets clubbed in the head. Ileana has to kind of ward off this demon, but she's able to stab him through the chest and defeat him. The demon possession is gone, and what's left is the now Native American Officer Corsi. Very interesting twist that Claremont came up with in the 80s. And they kind of come to the realization after she stabs him, and also Rain is able to explain to Ileana how the demon bear works. They're able to figure out a way to defeat him. So Amara sets the bear on fire, so the bear runs away to the darkness to try to recover. And in comes Bobby and Ileana, almost like a knight with a sword. And she cuts the bear directly in half right here, right through his heart and right through his soul. And it is an example of just this style of art right here, which is so surreal in the way that Bill Sienkiewicz draws these issues. And just beautiful use of almost prose-like narration that Chris Claremont uses here to explain what's going on. And the New Mutants end up victorious. They kill the demon bear. Out pops Danny's parents, long lost and thought to have been dead. And we end up back in the hospital. And then on the operating table, Danny's parents ask the doctor what's going on, and he's saying, hey, I think your daughter's going to be paralyzed for life. And the New Mutants are obviously heartbroken. What a tragic end. But Professor Xavier, the Morlocks, and Storm comes riding in at the end to save her life. So this healer, as some of you may remember from the Mutant Massacre, is part of the Morlocks. Is able to start the healing process for Danny. So she's gonna be out of commission for a little bit, but she'll be able to walk and live again. And then you get the happy reunion of Danny and her parents, as well as a little bit of allusion to Doctor Strange and some mysticism here with Professor Xavier, kind of thinking, well, I might need to call Stephen Strange. This is some weird shit, yo. But the important part is the New Mutants end up victorious, and more importantly, end up being heroes. So this Demon Bear would have continued on and claimed more lives if not for the JV team of the X-Men right here. So this 3-part series came out, I think, in 84, or was it 85? I forget. But yeah. One of the all-time great stories for the New Mutants, and probably the greatest story that the New Mutants ever had, and just great issues. Really can't argue against them too much. I remember the first time I read them, I was a little bit put off by Bill Sienkiewicz's art, but after a while, I've kind of grown to like Bill Sienkiewicz. He's kind of reached this weird area, kind of like Brett Blevins, where there's something about it that I still don't particularly like, just on preference, but when you pair them with the right writer, it works fantastic, and you kind of learn to appreciate and enjoy it. But anyway, yeah, so how about art? I haven't done that in a while, so here's my notes. So I've already drawn Danny Moonstar, so almost no point in drawing her again, but I did want to draw Magik, and I kind of threw this together really fast while I was writing notes for the video. But yeah, no, this is Magik as drawn by me. It's very interesting to use cheap paper to draw on. I do this mainly because I'm trying to do it really fast, so I read this in my reading chair, and I have this notepad paper right here, so I write notes as I'm reading it, usually the second or third time before I do a review. And then I go in and I draw this, and I get a really cheap set of inking pens and my Copics, and just fill it in the rest. But yeah, Ileana Rasputin, Magik, as she is a member of the New Mutants with her Eldritch Blade. Anyhow, that's the video. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. You got any comments on the New Mutants number 20 or the Demon Bear Saga story as a whole? Leave it down below, and I will see you next time.